በስመ አብ ወወልድ ወመንፈስ ቅዱስ አሐዱ አምላክ አሜን። አባታችን ሆይ በሰማያት የምትኖር፣ ስምህ ይቀደስ፣ መንግሥትህ ትምጣ፣ ፈቃድህ በሰማይ እንደሆነች እንዲሁም በምድር ትሁን። የዕለት እንጀራችንን ስጠን ዛሬ፣ በደላችንንም ይቅር በለን እኛም የበደሉንን ይቅር እንደምንል፣ አቤቱ ወደ ፈተና አታግባን ከክፉ ሁሉ አድነን እንጂ መንግሥት ያንተ ናትና፣ ኃይል፣ ክብር፣ ምስጋና ለዘላለሙ አሜን። እመቤታችን ቅድስት ድንግል ማርያም ሆይ በመልአኩ በቅዱስ ገብርኤል ሰላምታ ሰላም እንልሻለን። በሐሳብሽ ድንግል ነሽ፣ በሥጋሽም ድንግል ነሽ። የአሸናፊ የእግዚአብሔር እናት ሆይ ሰላምታ ላንቺ ይገባሻል። ከሴቶች ሁሉ ተለይተሽ አንቺ የተባረከሽ ነሽ፣ የማኅፀንሽም ፍሬ የተባረከ ነው። ጸጋን የተሞላሽ ድንግል ሆይ ደስ ይበልሽ፣ ልዑል እግዚአብሔር ከአንቺ ጋር ነውና ከተወደደው ልጅሽ ከጌታችን ከመድኃኒታችን ከኢየሱስ ክርስቶስ ዘንድ ይቅርታና ምሕረትን ለምኝልን ኃጢአታችንን ያስተሰርይልን ዘንድ ለዘላለሙ አሜን። ምስጋና ይሁን አንድ አምላክ በሚሆን ለአብ ለወልድ ለመንፈስ ቅዱስ ዛሬም ዘወትርም ለዘላለሙ አሜን። So this week is the 6th week of Avi Tzom, the Great Fast. This week is called Gever Her, which in English is translated to the good and faithful servant. And so this week's gospel reading is from the Gospel according to St. Matthew, chapter 25, starting at verse 14 and going until verse 30. This parable is what Jesus taught to his disciples about the kingdom of heaven. And so he taught it in the form of a parable, which means like kind of a lesson that is a story that has a deeper meaning, kind of like kene or misale. For the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling to a faraway country, who called his own servants and delivered his goods to them. And to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his own ability, and immediately he went on a journey. Then he who had received the 5 talents went and traded with them and made another 5 talents. And likewise he who had received 2 gained 2 more also. But he who had received only 1 went and dug in the ground and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of the servants came and settled accounts with them. So he who had received 5 talents came and brought 5 other talents, saying, Lord, you delivered to me 5 talents. Look, I have gained 5 more talents besides them. His Lord said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things, I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. He also, who had received 2 talents, came and said, Lord, you delivered me 2 talents. Look, I have gained 2 more talents besides them. His Lord said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things, I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. Then he who had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. And I was afraid and went and hid your talent in the ground. Look, there you have what is yours. But his Lord answered and said to him, you wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. So you ought to have deposited my money with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received mine back with interest. Therefore, take the talent from him and give it to the one who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have abundance. But from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the unprofitable servant into the outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So this parable from the Lord is about 3 servants who the property owner goes away, and before the property owner goes away, to these 3 people he gives them responsibilities in the form of 5 talents, 2 talents and 1 talent. Now we should understand that a talent is a year's worth of wage, right? So that means the guy who got 5 talents, he actually got 5 years worth of wage in basically one moment. And so what he chose to do with that 5 years worth of earnings was to gain 5 more years worth of earnings from it. And so when his master came back and the property owner came back, he had 10 talents to give back to the property owner. That means he made a return. It was like twice what he had. He had 5, and then he got 5 more. So he did a good thing with that money that he was entrusted with. So the spiritual meaning behind this example, or this misale, is that each of us is given talents in our life. Now, it's not just money, although we may be given money and we have to be wise with how we use that money also. But specifically in the spiritual sense, the very basic thing is that we all have a soul. So the person who was given the 1 talent, that's like most of us, who the one thing we have to worry about is just our own soul. And so as long as we're working on our own soul, then when the Lord comes, we'll hear from the Lord, "Well done, my wise, my good and faithful servant. Enter into the happiness, enter into the joy that the Lord has prepared for you." So this is the basic meaning for all of us, is that we all have at least 1 talent. We all at least have our soul that we need to make sure that we're working on and trying to grow spiritually in our faith and in our relationships with others as we grow in Christ. Now, some people are given 2 talents, some people are given 5 talents. What our father today said in Amharic was that the archbishop is the one who has received 5 talents. He called him Bala Amist, that the archbishop has received 5 blessings to be at the rank of archbishop. And so he has a lot of responsibilities as the bishop, spiritually and monetarily for the churches, that he has to be wise with those things. And when the Lord comes, he will say to the archbishops, "Well done, my good and faithful servants. Enter into the joy that has been prepared to you, prepared for you by your Lord." And then Abba also said that the kesoch, the priests, are the balavulet meklit, which means they're the priests are the ones who received 2 talents from the church spiritually. They have the ability to teach and do kadase, and they have the ability to baptize people. So those are the 2 talents that priests have. And then Abba said that for the deacons and all of the Hizra Christian, which means the men and the women who are faithful, all of us have received at least the one talent. And so we don't want to be lazy with this 1 talent that we have, whether we're deacons or whether we are believers in Christ. We want to take care of our soul and try to help others around us. So this is the basic teaching of Gevur Her, which again is translated, "good and faithful servant." All of us who are baptized into the Orthodox Christian faith are called to be servants of Christ. Whether we're young, whether we're old, whether we're male, whether we're female, whether we're the archbishop, or whether we're just deacons or priests, all of us are called to be God's servants. And so the very basic thing we can do is take care of our own soul that we may be saved. But if along the way on our journey to Christ we can also save the souls of others and take them with us, then we'll get even more blessings in the heaven. And glory be to God now and forever.